Yo, welcome back to another video. It is me, Lockie B. I'm here for my round two tipping. And before we get too deep into it, we're on the road to 700 subs. We're almost there. So if you are feeling kind, please subscribe. We'll start off with reviewing my round one tips. I had Carlton to beat Richmond, got that wrong. Essendon to beat Hawthorn, got that wrong. I had Freo to beat Geelong, got that wrong. We got our first win of the round with Brisbane beating Sydney. Collingwood versus Port, we got that wrong. North versus Bulldogs, we got that right. St Kilda versus Adelaide, we got that right. Melbourne versus the Giants, we got that right. West Coast, Gold Coast, we got that right. We start round two off at the MCG for Carlton versus Hawthorn. And Carlton, look, I thought they were going to tear my Tigers apart last week. I said I would have been happy if Richmond had lost by 30 points. And then Carlton, they completely shat the bed. The only real key player I think they were missing was like Kerno. And somehow, a game they probably should have won by 10 goals, they lost by two. I don't know what that does confidence wise for Carlton. Like, they're coming up against one of the most informed teams in the competition at the moment in Hawthorn. And don't say that lightly. Like, Hawthorn beat Sydney, who are a great team. They were in last year's grand final. They are a great outfit. They beat Essendon, who I'd still genuinely believe are going to have a big year. Yes, there were some errors in their game against Hawthorn, but geez, Hawthorn are looking strong, they're looking fit. And if Carlton shit the bed again, well, you might as well say goodbye to Carlton's top four aspirations. They might be looking pretty nervous for the next few weeks. I think some pundits are suggesting that Charlie Curnow might be back, but you didn't have many blokes looking very much like they wanted to be out there on Thursday night. So Carlton are going to be hoping for a big turnaround. I'm going to say Hawthorn win this game, and I think they're going to win it by 20 points. Next up, the boys are back for Friday night footy at the MCG. Collingwood versus the Bulldogs. And I think we're in for a very, very interesting game of football. The Bulldogs, they got the job done against North Melbourne last Saturday. At some stages of the game, they did not look convincing. They stuck it out with a strong win. Collingwood, on the other hand, they embarrassed Port Adelaide after a pretty embarrassing loss themselves against the Giants. Like, they bounced back pretty quick, and you got to give credit where it's due. I think, like, going into this game, Bulldogs have a lot to play for. It's a centenary game. You'd think all the Bulldogs boys, they're going to come out guns blazing. They're going to want to do the club proud for their 100-year celebrations. But I've got a strong feeling that Collingwood are going to get the job done. I think they're going to do it by 4 goals, but I think it's going to be a very competitive game. Next up, we have the first of the Saturday games. We're at the MCG for Essendon versus the Crows. I thought Essendon were a strong chance to beat Hawthorn, and I do still think Essendon are going to have a big year. I did mention that before, but it's going to be very, very difficult for them to beat the Crows if the Crows bring the intensity like they did against St Kilda. An undermanned St Kilda, mind you, but geez, the Crows looked very impressive. Essendon did show some good signs against Hawthorn, and I think they just need to build on that if they're any chance of winning this game. But I have tipped the Crows, and I think they're going to do it by a good 5 goals. Next up, we head to Adelaide Oval to watch my Tigers take on Port Adelaide. I mentioned it earlier. I said last week I would have been happy if Richmond were competitive and lost by 30. This week, I think I'm going for a similar approach. Port are going to be out for blood after losing in such a dominating fashion against Collingwood. I think I'm same sort of scenario. I think as long as we're competitive, I'm thinking if Richmond keep the margin to 4 to 5 goals, I'll be happy. When you tip against your team, it's the one tip that you're okay with getting wrong. Look, I won't be disappointed if Richmond prove me wrong again this week, but I'm going to have to go Port. I'm going to say 28-point margin. Next, we head to Marvel Stadium. Look, I think this game is going to be a very one-sided affair. fair. The Cats and St Kilda. It's going to be a long, long start to the season for St Kilda. I think Geelong, they're going to be way too strong, way too dominant. I think Jesse Cameron, he's going to be continuing his great form from last week. Bailey Smith, I think he's going to pencil in another three Brownlow votes. It's going to be a very, very dominating one-sided game from the Cats. I think the Cats are going to win by 40 plus. We start Sunday off at the Gabba. And look, if you thought what the Ashcroft brothers did last week against a very good side in Sydney was impressive, I think what we're going to see from the Ashcroft brothers against West Coast is going to be complete domination between the Ashcroft brothers and the rest of the boys. Brisbane are in for a big day out. West Coast got rid of Adam Simpson early. They sacked him last year. They brought in Andrew McWalter, and look, I've got no doubt McWalter, he's going to be a good rebuild coach for West Coast. He didn't look like they had much of a game plan, and I know that was a lot of the criticism that Adam Ruse got last year for Richmond. I did not see the fight that we were promised to see from West Coast. We were promised to see a large amount of improvement, and Gold Coast just grabbed their shorts and made pants to West Coast. And I think we're going to see a similar sort of thing happen this week at the Gabba. It's going to be another belting, and I think Brisbane get the job done by 40 plus to start Sunday footy off. We finish the round off at Optus Stadium in a game that is must win for both teams. Freo v Sydney. Sydney have lost 2 games on the trot now. Both games that were very, very winnable for them. Freo, on the other hand, they just got a beating handed to them by the Cats at the Cattery. Freo thought we're going to win that. I didn't realise how undermanned they were. Hopefully they've got a few players back. Bolton, I know he was waiting on a test last week. I think Freo, they need to show up here. They can lose, but they can't lose by how much they lost by last week. Sydney, on the other hand, they're coming off back-to-back losses at home. They really need to get a win on the board if they've got any chance of making it back to the big dance. Getting Coxie his first win as senior coach. This is another game that's going to be a cracking game that could go either way. I think Freo, they're going to get it done at the Fortress, but I would not be surprised if Sydney do win. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say a goal either way, but I think Freo get the job done. That is my AFL Round 2 tips and predictions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know who you have winning each game. It's not too late to enter my tipping comp. Prizes up for grabs, cash prizes that is. Be sure to tune in next week and subscribe if you are feeling kind. See you in the next video. Peace.